Good morning, everyone.
Good
Hold
morning.
on one second. Let me make sure. Let's see. Okay. And Linda, you are muted. Let's see.
Thank you.
There we are. Oh, Linda, I'm so happy to see you. You too, Rich
Thank
and
you.
Nancy, but I've not seen Linda in months.
In quite a while. And I miss seeing you. And I have to leave, unfortunately, at 11:15, but I was going to come and try to mute myself and get out to be downtown. Thank you.
Well, it's wonderful to
Thank you.
see you. Are you getting settled, or are you settled in your new place?
I moved in July 2nd, and when the movers left, someone in the hall said, you can't come out of your apartment now. And they had to explain to me that we were quarantined in our
Yeah.
places. And I was out for 6 days in October, and we're quarantined again. And I do go out, like to drop my goods tomorrow at church. I go out and they don't stop me. So I'm going to continue to go out to survive.
Yeah.
It's
I can imagine them trying to stop you anyway, but
Well, they said if you will obey the rules,
yeah.
we aren't going to be able to stop you. But I have not met anybody. I see them from here up and I smile and they smile and that's it. I am trying, Dawson, to see if I'm going to stay in Naples.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say that. Um,
No,
but I really miss being so far from all the kids.
sure.
It's been 2 years until last
Yeah.
weekend when Peter came.
Wow.
So that's kind of long since I'm older and I miss them very much.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Linda, is there any word of a vaccine for your community?
Yes, our community surprised us and themselves, and we got it a couple Sundays ago, and the next one
Wonderful.
is this Sunday. So that
Wonderful.
was great. It was a
Good.
surprise, and it's a godsend. I was in my apartment that day, but Sunday I am. So
Wonderful.
I
Oh,
got it, the
that
Pfizer,
that
and
makes me
we
so happy.
felt very lucky.
Good, good. And Josephine, are you recovering? You look wonderful. You just had surgery and let's see, you're muted, but I just wanted to see how you're doing after surgery.
Fantastic. I'm back driving, so watch out. Here I come, Naples. Lots of PT, which is very tough going, but I'm doing terrifically. Thanks. And thanks for all your prayers.
Of course, of course. But no, I just can't believe you were in rehab one night and they said there's nothing we can do for you. Go home. Nothing more we can do for you. Go home. I mean,
It
that's just
wasn't they,
remarkable.
it wasn't they that said it, it was I that said it.
Well, either way.
But a terrific surgeon, excellent surgery.
Well, yeah, you did have a good
Top-notch.
surgeon.
Top-notch NCH and lots of care.
Yeah.
Terrific PT at home too. Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to see you. And Rich and Nancy, do I remember right? Was Jeff's birthday yesterday? Was that?
Was.
It was.
Yeah.
And he survived.
I have to. Probably everyone now at this point has had a COVID birthday, and I'll speak for myself, but they are very different birthdays. They're not the usual celebrations, but
Mine was actually kind of fun though, because we were doing a Zoom with some of our friends from our Illinois Sunday school class.
Oh, wonderful.
And they sent me from a bakery here, they had a cake delivered.
Oh.
And then they all had either a Twinkie or a cupcake or something. And so we all celebrated my birthday together. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic. What great friends. My cousin turned 40 and they had a virtual party where a group of us got on like this and wished her happy birthday. And then her husband, my college roommate, ordered, you could tell him a bakery near you, and he had cupcakes sent to everyone that day so that they could celebrate with. I just thought that was so
Pretty
sweet
cool.
and pretty cool. Well, as we get started this morning, let's join our hearts in prayer. Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, indeed, we are grateful for this beautiful and chilly day. We are mindful that while we are physically apart, we are not spiritually separated. And we give you thanks for your presence with us. We give you thanks for our great church. And we ask that you would continue to be with those who are first responders and frontline workers and doctors and nurses and all those who are working to control and manage and cure this virus. Be with our president and Congress, our governor, and our local leaders. Guide their decisions and be with us as a church and all those whom we are concerned about this day. We lift to you in prayer and trust and ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, it's so wonderful to see everyone. I really do just enjoy an opportunity at least once a month to be available and just to offer a few things that I know are going on, and then to answer questions or have an opportunity for dialogue. I think probably one of the most significant things that's happening right now that's new, if you will, at the annual meeting we formally announced, but we try to not make things like that surprises, is that Reverend Dr. Deb Kaiser Cross, our Minister for Congregational Care, is taking her well-earned retirement after 40 years of active ministry. Her last day with us will be in late May, the week before Memorial Day. I'm searching because I can't remember the exact date, but basically think of it as May 31st. But we're actually going to do her celebration Sunday, April 25th, because we want to do that celebration, if you will, while still in season, while people are still focused on Naples, as I like to say. And so we are making the plans as if we will still be shuttered, but again, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't read tea leaves, but Susan Mielik is getting a group of people together to help host and coordinate different activities for the congregation, for the staff, for the Board of Mission, and for the Stephen ministers, because those are obviously those key areas that she's impacted. And so she will preach on April 25th. We'll do many similar things to what you experienced on David's last Sunday. And then we will probably, again, if we're shuttered, do an opportunity for people to drive through and wish her well. I'm going to go ahead and warn you, she is preaching again in May, so it's not a you see her, then never see her again. But again, April 25th being that celebration Sunday where we really celebrate Deb, her ministry, and what it has meant to us. And so naturally that means that we have formed a search committee. It's being chaired by Louise Brown, who is the co-leader of the Stephen ministry. And we felt like that was an important, obviously an important part of Deb's role. And then there are, there are 2 members of the Board of Mission and Outreach on that search committee. And so they, I have to say, this is the 3rd search I've been a part of in my tenure. And this committee, they are not messing around. They are on it. And so I haven't checked this morning, but that posting should be going live. If it's not already, it should be just any moment now. We are in great shape as far as the job description, the profile, all the things that you have to have for ucc.org. This is a very traditional clergy job, and so we feel like we'll have pretty good interest. As a matter of fact, I have a call next week with someone who just wants to visit with me before they apply, but they have interest in applying. There's a person up north whom I am familiar with that I think has a great skill set that they would bring. And so they, I'll visit with them as soon as the posting goes live. But this search committee, I mean, I met with them last Friday with our moderator and vice moderator and regional minister. They met again on Tuesday, and they have already established the questions that they want to ask each candidate, and then they are working to do a mock interview so that they can kind of get their chops up to speed as a committee before they even get a candidate in front of them. But they are not messing around, and so I'm really grateful for that. And so that's Minister for Congregational Care. Questions, thoughts, anything about that? Unfortunately,
that's not the only thing that the church is looking for right now.
Unfortunately, I kind of have that. We kind of have searches down to a fine art with David and Deb's retirement. So when I set up the meeting last Friday, our regional minister, Leslie, said to me, "This is just too familiar." And I said, "You think you're telling me that?" And then this came up at actually at that search committee meeting. And so I just want to update that the executive minister search continues. It's more quiet right now because we took down that posting around Thanksgiving, and in part because you can kind of think of job postings on ucc.org kind of like real estate postings. If they're up too long, they start to people start to look past them or not pay attention to them. And so we wanted to take it down, and then it's actually going to be reposted probably this week or next. And so, but it's interesting how the Holy Spirit works, because there have been at least one, if not two, candidates that have been brought to my attention since the new year that are very promising. And so, you know, sometimes it's the job posting. Oftentimes, in my experience, it's somebody who knows someone who says, you know, you ought to talk to Naples UCC, and, you know, things like that. So those searches, both of those searches continue. One thing that, again, that came up in my meeting with Congregational Care, but where they were asking about executive minister, that I just want to clarify, and I'm working on some communications to make sure we communicate with folks. You may remember, I've talked about it some in December, right around the start of December, we brought a fantastic colleague on board, non-clergy layperson by the name of Mark Harmon, and he has the title Executive Director. And I have to tell you, that was the best Christmas present I could have ever hoped for. He is a remarkable colleague, very gifted, and is just making a tremendous difference in the life of the church. Just a little note about Mark, he comes from a museum background. And so that's very helpful to us, because if you think about museums, he managed buildings, people, a gift shop. He dealt with large budgets, board of trustees. You know, he did a lot of the things that he does in this role, because as executive director, he oversees facilities, HR, budget, finance, and works with our endowments, and also oversees the Bargain Box. And so part of what that hire came from was in conversations with David Kaiser Cross as he was retiring, and his feedback to me, but really to our lay leadership, that said, this is way too much of a job for one person. I can't manage programmatic ministries and finances and things. And so we had been in conversation about that, but after visiting with David, we knew we really had to do something. And so we created that position, and then found Mark in the Central Florida area. And so he joined us around the start of December and has just been a godsend. And so what that means is Mark, the executive director, will report to the executive minister when that person is in place. And so we did re-examine the job description for the executive minister and change some of that language to clarify what they'll oversee and who they will oversee. And that was also helpful when we took down the job description and posting. So now it's a refined job description that's now on its way to being reposted. So I got a couple of questions about that. And again, we have a on Eagle's Wings that will drop right around March 1st, and we'll have updates on both searches for people to clarify that. But I realized in that conversation last Friday that there were a lot of questions that that I had answered in my head but hadn't said out loud. So I needed to make sure I communicate better about that. Any questions about searches? One other staffing thing, one other staffing thing I want to let you know about is I reluctantly accepted the resignation of our preschool director, Dr. Leanne Badham. And her last day with us will be at the end of this month, February 26th, I think is that Friday. This was unexpected, and she will, I think, be figuring out what's next for her. Obviously, I can't speak to HR issues in a public forum, but here's what I would say is, one of the things that we have to be mindful of, and I'm sure each of you can imagine, Linda, you were talking about as we got started, the pandemic is just been really hard on people, and it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people in a lot of unique ways. And so I'm so deeply grateful for Leanne and for her service to the church and to Precious Cargo. She's been with us, it will be just shy of 12 years. Mm-hmm. She started as the receptionist at PCA and then moved to the assistant director position, held that for many years, and then was promoted to the director position. So we are in the process of finding an interim director, and I envision that person being with us like 4 to 6 months to kind of just help stabilize, work through some bigger issues around budget. And we have 3 classrooms right now currently shut down due to COVID, which creates all kinds of challenges. And then once we have some of those things kind of back in line, hey, Bill Robinson, once we have some of those things back in line, we'll be able to bring on a permanent director. And what I've said all along is the interim could be the permanent. I'm not ruling that out, but what I know right now is we're working really hard around the clock really to find the interim person. And so we are working with our parents council, the PCA committee, and then Mark Harmon has been wonderful again, our executive director, to help us help say goodbye to Leanne, celebrate her time with us, and then also work to find that interim director. So we're working overtime on that currently. So that's anything staffing related that I can think of off of the top of my head, or at least in my notes. Any questions about that?
No, that took up a significant amount of our CE board last night.
I can imagine. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to touch base.
We were bouncing some names around, as possibilities. So I think that Megan may be taking those to somebody today.
Great, good. Yeah, I'll be in the office later this afternoon, and actually in meeting with Mark in part to talk about that, as well as some other things that we're just touching base on. So great, I appreciate that.
By the way, it wasn't me.
You'd be surprised how many things I volunteer you for, Rich. Bill, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I got in late because I had a computer issue. What did I miss there?
I'll give you the Reader's Digest. I was just letting people know that the search for the next Minister for Congregational Care is off and running in a good speed. Louise Brown is chairing that search. And Deb's celebration Sunday will be April 25th, and last day with us is at the end of May. The executive minister search continues. We've clarified that role in a better, healthier way, and I feel good about that. And that search continues. We have some promising prospects on the horizon that I'm excited about. And then Leanne Badham has offered her resignation, and I reluctantly accepted it. And she'll leave. I think her last day, don't exactly quote me on this, it's the end of the month. I can't remember if it's the 26th or the 28th, but, and really what I was saying is, obviously I can't speak publicly to HR things, but really I would just say that it's, I think the pandemic, it's just hard on people. You know, a lot of expectations. Like I was saying that we have 3 classrooms closed right now. We've had our first child that is COVID positive in the program. Now, I would add this caveat. What we don't know is that chicken or egg? So did the child become positive somewhere, bring it into the classroom and make the 2 teachers positive, or were the 2 teachers positive and made the child positive?
You're speaking of the choir. I spent 11 years with that, with 24 different daycares, and you know, whether it's measles, mumps, chicken pox.
Exactly.
Don't know.
So it was just, I would say, so let me say this also. The child is asymptomatic practically, some sniffles, things like that, is perfectly fine, doing well. The parents have had a few more symptoms, but are fine. But you know, it's unnerving to know that you have one of your kids that became positive, and then one of the classrooms where we have a teacher positive is our after school program, which means that every child who is in that after school program, the vast majority of those young people, children, are students at Seagate Elementary, now have to quarantine for 10 days at home. And so I'm only chuckling because I can just imagine how popular we are right now with Seagate Elementary and parents, but all of those parents have to keep their kids at home for safety purposes, you know, and so I can only imagine the stress that puts on someone in Leanne's role for the last year. I mean, every day she's been dealing with that. So it was a surprise resignation, but you know, it's a difficult time for everyone. I mean, I read a lot of management articles and things, and a lot of things that I'm reading right now talk about how to anticipate and manage things like that in staffing for 2021, because people are burning out. In a meeting, I'm on the Florida Conference Board of Directors, and in a meeting last Saturday, I don't know, recently, they were talking about, one of the regional ministers was talking about the uptick in retirements that had not been planned prior. And, but I can't say I was surprised, and neither are they. So it just comes with the territory, I think. I have some really exciting and fun news. We are going to host an in-person Easter worship service on April 4th. The way that we're going to be able to do this is we're going to have worship at the Naples Philharmonic. A couple ways that we're able to do this. They can host, their COVID capacity, as I call it, is 320. And they have been hosting in-person events, for a while during season. We're still working out some of the logistics, and we will have an Easter host committee made up of deacons and staff who will work out all of the finer points. We will be under their protocol. They've also, if you go on their website, you can read about the work that they've done on Hayes Hall as far as the air filtration system and things like that. There will be temperature checks, masks will be required the entire time, things like that. We'll offer at least 2 worship services. Again, we're working through a lot of details really quickly, but we had begun actually late last year, to seek an outdoor venue to try to bring our congregation together. Like Cambier Park, Loudermilk, Freedom Park, we had tried to find a variety of places, and those were not working out like we had hoped. And then on a whim, we reached out to the Phil, and because of our relationships and partnerships with them, they're actually giving the space to us for free. We have to pay some personnel costs and things like that, but I'm really excited about the opportunity for us to be together at least in some capacity and form. And so as we roll this out, if you hear people say, well, why the Phil and not the church? Well, it's triple the capacity. Our reopening task force believes that with social distancing, the sanctuary can hold about 100, maybe 120 people. And just as a point of reference, the capacity, fire marshal capacity of the sanctuary is 650. The pastoral capacity of the sanctuary is 750, 800. But COVID capacity, we believe, is about 100 to 120. And so we get triple capacity at the Phil, the air filtration system that's in place. Frankly, we get their protocols that are already tried and tested. We get their support. Their ushers will be present to help us seat people and do those types of things. It will be ticketed, not charged, but it will be ticketed. And so that decision was just moved forward on late Tuesday night with our board of deacons signing off on it. And so we're getting ready for the messaging, but I'm just really excited I will tell you that this has been the strangest Easter and Christmas I've ever experienced. And so just the idea of having people together and our congregation together has really been life-giving, and just trying to figure out. It's going to be complicated and we'll mess something up, I'm sure, but we're very excited about the possibilities. Questions about that?
Who is it?
Oh.
Who?
Sorry, I have to leave.
That's all right. It's good to see you, Josephine.
Thanks, bye.
And tell Stephanie hi for me, please.
Will do. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
I don't have it. I have no. I think that's terrific news. I know that the congregation will be excited about that. And the only thing I would request is, can they throw in the Pops Orchestra for you?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we've been working on. Just last night, I was working with Brad, our production director, about, because we're also going to live stream it, and we're bringing an outside vendor in for that, and so we're working on, what capacity we'll have in the hall and what will be streamed, and all of that. And I said, part of this is we're going to have to balance out the musicians and all of that good stuff, and so we're trying to figure all that out, but one day at a time, as I try to say.
Will there be any congregational singing, or is that still a complete no?
It's interesting. It's interesting that you ask. I don't know the answer to that. We've got to kind of figure that out. When the pandemic first started, one of the things that was talked about with singing was that it was that singing provided a 16-foot, and I don't know any other word to say, spray of the potential for the virus. And so, you know, when you think about our pews, I thought there's just no way. I mean, we can't do that. But when we think about the fill, and again, like one of the things that we had to agree to before they would even talk to us was, you know, you do it our way or you don't do it. And I said, no, like that's appealing to me that, you know, that you can model this for us. And so the idea that perhaps there's more room and perhaps people can sing. So you know, it was interesting. One of the questions that I received at Board of Deacons on Tuesday night was, you know, can we do the Hallelujah chorus at the end like we always do? And I was like, I have no idea. I haven't thought of that, you know, but, you know, and so I was just saying to Rich that about the tech support, because, you know, I was saying to Brad last night, okay, what would it look like for us to bring, you know, a video or to show video of Easter 2019 of the processional and Christ the Lord is risen and all that, if we can't sing? Or because again, one of the things that Phil offers us is the use of a pipe organ, which is pretty fantastic. But if we're singing that, but have the visual of the processional and being inside the sanctuary, you know, like we're trying to work on what is the visual of it as well. And so, yeah, so that's a long way to say I don't have an answer, but we're working on it rapidly to try to figure out, because, you know, many of us, I mean, you start playing those notes,
Sing.
I wouldn't know how to not sing.
At least a hum along.
Yeah, exactly, or do something, you know. So we do know, and actually I heard a radio advertisement for the Phil yesterday on NPR that master required. It's like if you were on campus for some reason that, you know, master required from the moment you step out of your car and all that. So the usual safety precautions. They do temperature check. And by having the tickets, we will have people's contact information. So God forbid, but if we do have to contact trace, we have that ability, and, you know, things like that. But I think my hope is that it gives people something to look forward to and to be excited about, and things like that. So we're excited about that. We're during Lent, we're going to have a theme of rooted, and talking about being rooted in our faith and rooted in Jesus Christ. And so again, trying to rethink, what do these very traditional seasons mean for us? And again, how do you do ashes on Ash Wednesday, where it feels like this is I have concern that it's too close of a distance to be in people's space. So we've rethought all of that. And we're going to invite people on Ash Wednesday, which, why am I blanking on that date? I think the 17th, February 17th, from 9 to 11, to come through the portico and pick up a flowering plant, seedling, small, and invite all of us to nurture and grow that plant throughout the Lenten season. And the idea is that becomes a new symbol for us during Lent. And then our book for the Clergy Roundtable that we're going to invite people to read along with us is entitled Deep Rooted in Christ, The Way of Transformation by Joshua Kang, K-A-N-G. And we're rolling that out this Sunday, and you can get it from Amazon. And we're going to the 6 Wednesdays of Lent. We'll be discussing that book, and so you'll hear a lot of rooted language, a lot of agrarian imagery and things in the coming weeks. And then the Lenten meditation services at noon on Wednesdays during the season of Lent will be taking place as they normally are. We have some guest preachers joining us. We're thrilled. The Reverend Rich Kirshner will be with us.
For St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't remember that.
Last year it was April Fool's Day.
I was like, April Fool's Day. I did
Yeah.
remember that.
I'm working my way up the ladder.
Yeah, it just felt so natural. But we also have Lisa Lefko from Habitat for Humanity, Reverend Catherine Mulhern will be with us, as well as, I'm excited, we've invited Rabbi Adam Miller to preach one of the meditations. And so we'll have, and then of course, Deb, Sharon, and I will also I will preach Ash Wednesday, and then Deb's about halfway through, and then Sharon will be during Holy Week. And so those will be great worship experiences, and I look forward to, those are always great moments for me to just center myself during the week. And, you know, I can't speak to the preaching, but the music is always just beautiful, and it's really,
that's all you have to pay attention to.
Exactly. You can mute the preaching and just listen to the music at the end. It's great.
I do.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mute myself and listen to the music.
Exactly. And so you know, I just think so, you know, again, working hard to continue some of those Lenten worship traditions and the book study, and so I think it's going to be a great Lent that again will culminate in our ability to worship together on Easter, different but still in a unique way that they'll provide an opportunity, because we're March 15th was the last time, March 15th, 2020 was the last time we worshiped together as a congregation, which just boggles my mind.
Dawson, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
clear me up? Excuse me, folks, but they were doing the COVID testing. So when they know it's she, I can't miss it. Or I came back to a very foggy screen. Is that a problem on my end?
I think it may be something with your camera, but you're not bothering me.
You're a little foggy, but you're fine.
Oh, well, yes, it's
And
not clear.
Your voice is loud and clear.
So Linda, did you have to get a COVID test?
Yes, and I heard the knock and thought I better not miss it. So they do it right wherever you are, in the kitchen, in the living room, and then we will have the results of everybody in this facility by tomorrow. Or well, by tonight.
That's
We won't
terrific.
get it till tomorrow.
That's fantastic, but that test is not the most.
But this one
in the
is
world.
not the more rigid one. This is a piece of cake, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that's more sophisticated is much tougher.
Yeah, I've had one of those, just double checking after traveling, and
Yeah, no, ours is simple.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's
Good.
the simpler one, yes.
And that has to be reassuring to know that everyone, you have results for everyone in a snapshot of time.
The only people I don't think we have in this walkabout are the caregivers, the individual caregivers for people.
Okay.
And they are done elsewhere, but they must be done.
Okay.
And they could be done here, but at a different time.
Yeah. Yeah, we require our staff that if they leave their bubble that they live in, that before coming back to work, they either have to quarantine. It used to be 14 days. We lowered it to 10, or they have to have 2 negative tests. They have to show 2 negative tests before returning at any point to the church. We still have the staff working remotely. They're not required to be on campus because they can do so much now through technology at home. But if they do want to come back to the church at any point, or if they're involved in the recording of worship, they have to quarantine for 10 days or show 2 negative tests. And so that was when I had to have the test, and I thought the nurse was trying to test my brain. It was, ooh,
Yeah, I hear that's bad.
yeah, it wasn't the most pleasant thing, but it was negative, and I figured better than COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Oh, we're also in stewardship season, so I would not be doing my job if I didn't remind people of that. We're a little behind where we were this time last year, but what I said to the Board of Deacons on Tuesday was that is, this time of year, it just fluctuates rapidly, and you should have by now, I received mine, I think it was day before yesterday. You should have received your 2020 summary of giving for your tax purposes. And then included in that should have also been your estimate of giving card. If you haven't, for 2021, if you haven't done it online,
we did.
With a return envelope. So either way, we should have you covered now at this point. But if you have any questions either about the 2020 giving or the 2021 estimate of giving, you can give the church office a call, and Maria, our new controller, who also is wonderful, can help you with any of that. She's fantastic.
Done. Nancy had to ask me the other day, she said, what did we raise it to? I said, well, we better catch up because, January was a few weeks ago.
I like Nancy's questions. Not did we do it, but what did we raise it to?
Yeah, yeah, and we did.
Exactly.
So was,
well, I appreciate that. Yes, it has been. It's one of those things that I still, after 7 years, it's so funny being in a church that does it in the new year with a new budget already in place, but it makes sense that that's when we do it. Yeah. And so my brother was laughing the other day. He said, my brother, who is a pastor, was saying, wait, you're in stewardship season right now, but you just passed your budget. Wait, I don't understand. I said, it's a different world, buddy.
It's different. It's Southwest Florida. It's different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
I have
make sure you're taking care of yourself too.
Well, I appreciate it. I am. It always feels good to hit Ash Wednesday and know that Lent is underway, but it's also and as my friend Ron Patterson used to say, in season, you look down and then you look up and it's Easter. And this is one of those years that kind of feels that way. So, but I think my parents received their second vaccine yesterday, which is really encouraging and feels really good. And so I think they're going to come visit after Easter, which will be nice.
Oh, good.
Because they've had several canceled trips now to try to come see me. So it'll be nice to have them here.
Have they had any reaction? Have you talked to them today?
I called them this morning because I was curious, and they had, the typical arm soreness yesterday, but sure enough, last night, little bit of chills, likely a little bit of fever, and then I think it was my father complaining of a headache, and he said, but when I took Tylenol, it just knocked that headache right out. And I said, it's crazy how that works, Dad. So, but yeah, this morning they're fatigued and kind of getting over that. But I think they're going to take it easy today, and then I think they'll be in good shape tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate. My sister had her second vaccine on Saturday, and then Mom and Dad today. So in Houston, they seem to be moving it along a little faster. So my brother's family, my brother's family has not had any yet, but so, one at a time. Rich, Nancy, have you all had an opportunity yet?
We've had the first one. We had the second one in a couple of weeks.
Great.
And we're really hoping that we get to go to Houston a year from June.
Oh, is there
That'll be the
Rotary?
Rotary, that'll be the Rotary International Convention
Wow.
in person, although they are making plans for virtual just in case.
Sure.
They are making plans to have it at, I don't know the name of the stadium that the Astros play in now.
Yeah, it's well, yeah.
Okay.
It
No,
used to be Minute Maid, but
Used
now
to be
it has
Minute Maid.
another. Yeah,
Called it,
I think it might be. Is it NRG or is that where the Texans play? I have to remember. I'll
I
ask
think
my
that's where the
brother.
Texans play, but
Yeah, I think
they're,
so too. Yeah.
that's not a done deal for that, but they're pretty close to having that so that they figure if it's in person, they may have 50,000 people from around the world show up. But, you
Wow.
know, the one that was supposed to be in Taipei,
Yeah.
about the second week of June this year,
I was gonna say that was gonna be.
that's
Yeah.
canceled just like last year's was. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, General Synod is this summer, and I'm trying to remember where the location was, but it's all online now, all virtual. And then so the next one will be 2023, and there's full anticipation that will be in person, which I'm hopeful. And I
And
can't remember.
people really want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember the host city for that, but they'll announce it this year. And then there was another meeting I was due to be a part of, another event gathering, and the summer that they didn't even do virtual. They just said no, we'll do it another time.
We're scheduled to have the eastern 1/3 of the United States and the Caribbean in Naples the last week of September
Mm-hmm.
for training, and at the Naples Grand, right
Oh
across
wow,
the street.
yeah.
Who knows? I'm kind of wondering if that'll happen, but
I say that feels like that would, in my opinion, would be pushing the envelope. It could
Yeah.
be possible, but it seems like I feel like it seems to me, because I snuck out and went to public health school, but it seems to me that the J&J vaccine is a key to a lot of this, as far as the ability to get to less developed parts of the world.
oh yeah,
And because of the refrigeration issue, the one-shot issue, things like that. And really, even I don't even know that that's fair to say less developed. I mean, I think even across the U.S., I really do think the J&J vaccine will change the scene.
well,
We'll see, but
we're certainly working on that because it partners up with what we're doing for polio.
well, I wondered honestly about that because I know the tremendous work that Rotary does with the polio vaccine, and I thought to myself, I can't remember, something the other day caught my attention, and I thought, you all are an organization that in so many ways has built an infrastructure that reaches out.
Yeah, that's what they're using. In fact, actually, we have the refrigeration.
Really?
Oh yeah, but you still have to go to remote places where the refrigeration will only last so long. But the volunteers and when I say paid healthcare workers, they're trained people in their own native lands. It's not great pay, but it's by our standards.
Right.
And we have volunteers, and they are taking around the PPE and the masks and the flyers in native languages and trying to teach people about COVID.
Yeah.
And they are doing the vaccines for polio again, so they're hoping to do both as soon as the vaccines are available. And I know Bill and Melinda have put forth a ton of money again.
Yeah.
And aside from some people who are afraid of chips being implanted in the vaccines, we're doing okay.
I'm telling you, yeah, I think about, to me, it's such a monumental effort to think about how to get that complex of a vaccine to some of the underdeveloped areas. And it just kind of makes my head spin.
Well, and that's what's gonna, that's what's gonna keep the the virus
Yeah.
going is,
Right, exactly.
we're
Well,
not
and
worry about an airplane ride. It just, wherever you miss, that was the thing that the
Yeah.
Gates taught us in Rotary. We kept missing, we'd get all the cities and all the towns, but we'd be missing these remote villages.
yeah. Well, I think about our work in Guatemala, and
Yeah.
I got a note from Ken and Lois Warner on Tuesday morning, and I mean, the vaccine hasn't even entered Guatemala yet, and and they're talking about, I mean, there's so much corruption in the government there, especially around issues of healthcare, and so Lois was saying, they think they're going to have the vaccine to begin rolling out like I think she said a month or 6 weeks or something. But it was kind of, I mean, I think she actually typed, but we'll believe it when we see it, because that's exactly, I mean, because everything comes through the government. I mean, that's why we don't, anything that we take when we go there, which I'm sure you understand, we take on our person, because you don't want it to go through customs, because they'll just keep it.
You'll never see it again.
And yeah, and it's, yeah. And so I'm thinking, yeah, you put a bunch of vaccines that have the value that they do. Yeah, the people of Guatemala will never see them. Bill, did you have a question? I saw your hand up.
Yeah, back over 60 years ago when I was in medical service school in the Army, the problem with smallpox vaccine it had to be frozen, and we were doing on each other sample vaccinations with the new potted farm, which mixed with pure water, and that's how they went worldwide with that. There's talk about this vaccine being in a pill farm. So, and the thing
I
about,
hadn't heard that.
yeah, and that's on the horizon, and we kind of got spoiled with the Moderna and the Pfizer 95% of efficiency, but I have no qualms of taking the J&J, because I heard the other day that within 12 days it's at 89% and infinitum after that.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is a body reaction type vaccine, as most of them are, and we make a lot of our own antibodies and everything else. So, on a two-pronged basis, logistically, domestically, it's going to be more efficient to distribute the J&J, but people were spooked with the difference of 20%. I'd rather have 75 coverage versus 0. I did get on the wait list yesterday right after our chapters meeting. I was shocked. I haven't got a call back for an appointment, but they took my number. But one of the problems, people say, well, why aren't this getting out to here and there? There's a module that they're shipping this in because of the freezing,
right?
And they don't want waste. I mean, there's 12.5% waste in these vials now because they didn't line up the right size syringes. And now they're using fluids from two vials to use it all up. But they were coming up with leftover, and then someplace the other day somebody left a whole shipment out and let it. So I mean, you're going to have that. The key is easy accessibility. I mean, we're conscious enough in this county that we made Immokalee a priority, because you've got a population that comes down to Naples every day and exposes themselves into the whole Naples population. Everything from dishwashers, care workers, daycare workers, hotel maids and everything else. So you've got to technically go to the source, and third world countries is no different. And, it's a logistics issue. It's more than a medical issue. I think we solved the medical side.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, there was a public health person on, I don't know, something I was watching the other day, and they were talking about the J&J vaccine like you are, Bill. And I mean, they were saying, it was a person from the FDA approval group, and he said, let me be really clear. This is about keeping people out of the hospital.
Yeah.
J&J vaccine will likely, not 100%, but that level of immunity and lessening the impact keeps you out of the hospital, and that's what we want to do. And I thought, right, yeah, exactly. And I think I heard this morning on one of the podcasts that I was listening to that the efficacy is around what the flu shot is.
Yeah.
Each year. And so, as a big proponent of the flu shot, because having one severe case of flu many years ago, I'm like standing in line as soon as I can get it. And so I'm thinking, yeah, if that's what it takes, I'm all for it.
Did we have flu this year?
I'm telling you, I thought to myself, that's all we need is an outbreak of flu on top of everything else.
You don't hear about it.
Bill, I think the wearing of masks help cut down flu.
Mhm.
And the fact that we're not, air travel is down, that has always been the biggest thing of spreading the flu is air travel. And every time, and I travel a lot in the winter by air. And there's always, a third of the plane sniffing and coughing and sneezing. And, the flu gets passed around so easily. But, now we're all wearing masks. And I think that's most of us are wearing masks, except if you go to a certain grocery store in Naples. And I think that's what's really cut the flu down this year.
Well, and
the shots that people get.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but we've sheltered ourselves from international travel.
Yeah.
So all the elements Dawson, you should have been at our chapters meeting when we were talking about robots and algorithms.
Yes. I can only imagine.
we do try to argue a little bit about what that means for humanity, and we argue a little bit about where our some of our moral sense comes from, looking at biblical scriptures and that. But we get off on a tangent once in a while.
I have, knowing some of or most of the guys in that group, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
No.
Well, actually, knowing the person that's leading it, that doesn't.
He's not leading it. He
is our biblical resource.
Corralling it.
They only call on me once in a while,
to let you speak. Exactly. That's how I feel in staff meetings.
You got an array from a very esoteric to very scientific personalities.
Yeah.
And and everybody can argue four sides of a rock.
Yeah.
That's
true. One of the things I love about our church is the diversity of thought and the deep intelligence of the people who participate. But
and thank Megan. I'm gonna write her a note this morning, but I just fell in love with her devotional this morning.
Yeah. So just quick story on that, and then I'll offer prayer and let us go. But I don't think she will mind me offering this. But last week, I think it was last week, she said, so we use an internal messaging system called Slack. You're probably familiar with it. And so she Slack messaged me and said, how much do you trust me? And I said, well, that's a loaded question. And I said, well, I think I've proven that I trust our team a lot. Why? And she said, I'd really like to write a Going the Distance devotional. And I said, I think that would be amazing. And I would really like a week off. So let's do it. And because the clergy team was talking recently about the fact that we feel like we have no unpublished thought, because between Going the Distance and Clergy Roundtable and all those things that, it's just produce. And so one of the things we're doing is we're beefing up the writing pool for Going the Distance. And so when she said she wanted to do it, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And so I've not read it yet this morning, but I'm eager to, and I'm sure it's wonderful.
It was wonderful. It
When are
really
you go,
was.
I just printed it off. When are you going to open up to the congregation?
Yeah, we'll see about that. And I tell you, it's not about content. It is about trying to coordinate it.
Yeah.
That's the nightmare of it. My congregation in Dallas did daily devotionals like this, and at one point, it was our communications director there. I mean, she used to come into my office in tears and say, "If I just didn't have to do this, I could do the rest of my job." But trying to coordinate all of these.
I figured the biggest thing everybody wanted to do it, but nobody would meet the deadline.
Well, yeah, the senior minister rarely does, so why would anyone else?
So we've been told.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's join our hearts together. Gracious God, we are indeed grateful for our time together and for those who love their church and have the opportunity to take time and to ask questions and hear all the ways that you're at work among us. And for those who will take time later to watch and to learn, we ask that you would continue to lead us into your preferred future and to guide us into the future just as you have led us in the past. We trust that you are preparing the next executive minister and the next minister for congregational care. We give you thanks for Leanne's ministry among us, and we entrust all of this to your great care and lift this in your many names. Amen. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe and have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And
Appreciate it.
stay warm.
Tell me about it. 45
All
this
right.
morning.
I'm telling you, it's
Yep,
too
bye-bye.
much for my thin blood. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye.